For almost your entire life, once every month, your body would open up and bleed for days. And you would have nothing to catch it. No pad, no tampon, no pill for the cramps. Not even the right to sleep inside your own home. This has happened to half the humans who ever lived. It is the most ordinary thing a body can do. And yet, the way your own people treated you for it was so extreme that in one country, today, it is a crime. A crime that is still killing women right now. I'm Nerlin, and I spent a weekend going somewhere almost nobody makes a video about. Anthropology papers, court records, 2,000-year-old texts, trying to find out what women actually did every single month for 200,000 years. The deeper I went, the darker it got. So let's talk about it. Not the biology class version, the real one. Start with a number that genuinely surprised me. You probably picture an ancient woman bleeding the same amount you do, somewhere around 400 periods in a lifetime. She didn't. She had closer to 100. Here's why. For almost all of human history, a woman was either pregnant or breastfeeding for most of her adult life, and both of those shut the cycle off completely. Scientists actually measured this. They followed 58 women in a traditional farming society in Mali who lived without any birth control, tracked them for 2 years by the real days each one spent apart from the village, and confirmed it with hormone tests. The result? About 2 periods a year, not 13, roughly 100 in a whole lifetime, against your 400. So the ancient woman bled far less often than you. But here's the catch. Every single time, she faced it with nothing. What did she use? And now I have to be honest with you, because this is exactly where most videos start making things up. We don't actually know. Moss, cloth, animal hide, grass, folded up. None of it survives 20,000 years, so no one has ever dug up an ancient pad. There is not one confirmed find of a prehistoric period product anywhere on Earth. What the historians will tell you is stranger. For most of human history, the main method was nothing at all. You simply bled into your clothing, onto the ground, and you kept moving. Real absorbent products didn't exist until roughly 150 years ago. Your great-great-grandmother was probably the first woman in your entire family line to ever hold one. So could you? No pad, no tampon, no pill, just bleed and carry on walking, gathering, working? Tell me down in the comments, honestly. Now the part that really gets under your skin. In culture after culture, a woman's own blood wasn't treated as messy. It was treated as dangerous, a weapon. The anthropologist James Fraser collected these beliefs from hunter-gatherer peoples over a century ago, and they are wild. Among some Aboriginal Australian groups, a woman on her period had to leave the camp completely, and young boys were warned that if they so much as saw the blood, their hair would turn gray and their strength would drain away for life. Another group was certain that if she went near the water, the fish would die and the river would run dry. A third forbade her from touching the plants that fed the entire tribe. Think about what that actually means. For a few days every month, a woman was treated as though her body could poison the food, the water, the men, the whole world around her. She wasn't sick. In their eyes, she was too powerful to be near. And it wasn't always fear. Among the San of the Kalahari, one of the oldest hunter-gatherer cultures on Earth, a girl's first period set off a celebration. The men danced wearing antelope horns, the women danced around her shelter, and her blood was tied to the very same life force their healers reached for to bring the rain. Same blood. One culture calls it poison, another calls it power. Almost nobody in the middle just called it normal. But the single most common response all around the world was colder and simpler. Send her away. The menstrual hut, a separate shelter, apart from the home, where a woman went for the days she bled. No cooking, no touching anyone. In some places, not even allowed to see the sun. And who you were decided everything about how you lived it. Among the Yurok people of California, a wealthy, high-status woman turned those days into a private ritual at a sacred pool, and she kept it up every month of her life as a mark of power. A poor woman did it once, at her first period, and never again. Same body, completely different rules, set entirely by status. And here's the twist you won't see coming. In parts of India, it was the highest caste women, the most privileged ones, who lived under the strictest rules of all. kept out of the kitchen, kept out of the temple, made to sleep on the bare floor. Climbing the social ladder didn't buy freedom. It bought more control over your body. Personally, I think that's the detail that stays with me the longest. Even the most ordinary, unavoidable thing a human body does, people wrapped it in rank, in shame, in rules that could ruin you for breaking them. So tell me honestly, would you have obeyed those rules, or would you have been the woman who broke them? And this is the point where tradition stopped being just strange and started being deadly. Being sent away left a woman exposed in ways that had nothing to do with blood at all. Alone, in a flimsy shelter on the edge of the village, cold at night, animals in the dark. And the reused cloth itself carried a real danger. Modern studies of women still forced to use old rags in unclean conditions find alarmingly high rates of infection. Scientists believe the same quiet threat shadowed ancient women too, even if, this far back, we can't measure exactly how many it took. And don't assume the great civilizations were any wiser. They were terrified of it. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder set it down in complete seriousness in his encyclopedia nearly 2,000 years ago. Menstrual blood, he claimed, could blunt the edge of a sword, kill a swarm of bees, turn wine sour, wither a field of crops, and drive a dog mad. The smartest empire of its age genuinely believed a woman on her period could ruin a harvest just by walking past it. And before you feel too modern about all this, we still believe things about it that simply aren't true. You've almost certainly heard that women who live together sync up their cycles. It feels obvious. It's been tested again and again, including on those same women in Mali, followed for years, and it collapses every time. It's a myth. The body keeps its own schedule, and it keeps its own secrets. So here is where all of it slams into the present day. That ancient practice, exiling a woman to a hut the moment she bleeds, never actually died. In parts of Nepal, it survived all the way into this century under a name that means literally untouchable. And in 2017, the government finally made it a crime. Send a woman to a menstrual hut and you can go to prison. They had to because women would not stop dying in them. A 21-year-old suffocated on the smoke of the fire she lit just to stay warm. A teenage girl bitten by a snake in the dark. As recently as 2025, another woman died the very same way. The first arrest ever made under that law ended in a 45-day jail sentence for enforcing a custom thousands of years old. Read that again. Something human beings did for thousands of years is now, in a court of law, a crime. And even with the law, even with the arrests, it is still killing women faster than anyone can stop it. So come back to yourself for a second. The pharmacy shelf, the painkiller in your drawer, the door you're allowed to close. Every bit of that is newer than your great-grandmother. For almost the entire human story, this completely ordinary thing, the thing half the world does, was dangerous, shameful, and sometimes fatal. An ancient woman bled maybe 100 times in her whole life, far less than you ever will. But every single time she carried it alone, in silence, sometimes exiled into the dark, sometimes in real danger, for nothing more than being alive in a female body. So tell me, down in the comments, if the pads and the pills and the painkillers all vanished tomorrow and the old rules came back, could you actually live it? Would you follow them, or would you be the one who broke them? I read every single one. I'm Nerlin. See you in the next one.